The door creaked open, just enough for the rain-soaked hallway light to spill inside, and for a second, my brain refused to accept what my eyes were seeing. My boss stood there, framed by the storm. Mascara streaked down her cheeks like dark rivers, her shoulders trembling as if the weight she carried was finally too heavy to hold. The woman who had dominated boardrooms, crushed deadlines, and reduced grown professionals to silent nods now looked small, broken, and human. When she whispered that she needed me, something inside me shifted. In that moment, everything I thought I knew about her shattered, and a new story quietly began. The first time I met Victoria Reeves, I hated her on sight. She didn't introduce herself. She didn't smile. She dropped a thick stack of folders onto my desk late on a Friday afternoon and told me she needed the reports by Monday morning. No exceptions. Her navy suit was perfectly tailored, not a wrinkle in sight. Her blonde hair was pulled into a severe bun that matched her sharp cheekbones and even sharper eyes. She looked like she belonged on magazine covers about power and success, not in the real world, where people had lives. I tried to explain that Monday was my daughter's birthday, and even as the words left my mouth, I knew I was making a mistake. I'd only been at Meridian Financial for 3 weeks. This was my first real interaction with the infamous Chief Operations Officer, the woman office gossip referred to as a career destroyer. She raised one perfectly arched eyebrow and made it clear my personal calendar was irrelevant. What mattered, she said, was the company's profit and my paycheck. Monday morning, 8 a.m. Then she walked away, heels clicking like punctuation marks on my dread. Ellie was turning 8. Since her mother had walked out 2 years earlier, I'd never missed a birthday. Not once. I'd promised her a special day, just the two of us. But promises didn't pay rent, and this job was finally keeping our little world stable. That weekend, I worked while my sister took Ellie to the zoo, and I told myself it was temporary. Just until I proved myself. Just until things settled. They didn't settle. Weeks turned into a blur of late nights and missed dinners. Victoria had an uncanny ability to appear whenever I was packing up to leave, always with something urgent that couldn't wait. I started keeping a spare shirt at the office. I made pancakes shaped like animals in the mornings and wrote silly notes for Ellie's lunch, trying to make up for my absence. But kids notice things adults hope they won't. Her laughter came a little less easily. Her teacher called. I was losing time I couldn't replace. Still, I couldn't bring myself to truly hate Victoria. I told myself she was heartless, but then I'd catch her staring out a window, like someone trapped in a memory. She arrived before dawn and left long after the office emptied. She never talked about family, never joined happy hours. Her life seemed to exist entirely within those glass walls. Somewhere beneath the steel exterior, something felt lonely. The breaking point came with the father-daughter dance. Ellie's excitement filled our apartment for days. I bought her a pink dress that made her spin in front of the mirror until she collapsed laughing on the couch. I emailed Victoria 2 weeks in advance, asking for the evening off. She never replied, and I dared to hope. On the afternoon of the dance, just as I was shutting down my computer, she appeared again, announcing a last-minute presentation overhaul. I told her I couldn't stay. For the first time, I said no. I told her my daughter mattered more than any account, that Ellie had already lost one parent to career ambition, and I wouldn't let her lose another. For a moment, something flickered across Victoria's face. Then the mask snapped back into place. She suggested I reconsider whether the job was right for me. I watched her walk away, convinced I'd just sacrificed my career. That night, I danced with my daughter under paper streamers and cheap disco lights. And it was worth everything. Ellie laughed, held my hands tightly, and for those few hours the world shrank to just us. Later, after she fell asleep clutching her new teddy bear, I sat at the kitchen table, updating my resume and wondering how long my savings would last. The knock came just after midnight. When I opened the door and saw Victoria Reeves standing there in the pouring rain, my brain short-circuited. Her hair hung loose, her clothes damp, her carefully constructed armor gone. She corrected me when I called her Miss Reeves, asked me to call her Victoria, and admitted she knew showing up was inappropriate. She just didn't know where else to go. I let her in, handed her a towel, and watched the strongest woman I knew stand helplessly in my living room. Over tea, she told me she'd finish the presentation herself. Then she told me about her daughter. Victoria had been a single mother once too. Lily, a bright 12-year-old who loved science and theater. Victoria had missed her school play because of a client crisis. They'd argued. Lily accused her of loving her job more than her. The next day, Lily died in a bus accident caused by a drunk driver. 3 years earlier, Victoria had buried her child and buried herself in work right alongside her. The words hung in the air like a weight neither of us could lift. I listened as she admitted she'd become the kind of boss she once despised, using control and pressure as distractions from grief she never learned to face. My refusal to miss the dance had cracked something open in her, forcing her to confront a truth she'd been running from. That night didn't erase her pain, and it didn't magically fix everything, but it changed the direction of both our lives. The next day, she told me to take the morning off. The presentation went well. The office buzzed with confusion when Victoria smiled, thanked people, and left before sunset. Changes came slowly but deliberately. Emails stopped after 7. Flex schedules appeared. People were treated like people again. Victoria didn't lose her edge. She gained perspective. And I didn't lose my job. I gained something far more valuable. The certainty that choosing family doesn't make you weak, and choosing compassion can quietly rewrite destinies. Sometimes redemption doesn't come with applause or grand gestures. Sometimes it shows up soaking wet at your door, asking for help. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is open that door. If this story moved you, reminded you of someone you love, or encouraged you to rethink what truly matters, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this aren't just entertainment, they're mirrors, and sometimes they help us find our way back to what matters most.